Sitting here with
Drew Harakal.
Drew Harakal from
I play with Cody Jinks.
Cody Jinks, guitar player, keys player.
Keys player, mostly keys.
Yeah.
I'll do some guitar.
I noticed. Do you upstroke a lot on your guitar? There is a.
Oh,
There's
Jake,
some rash.
Jake does some crazy like what do you call it? Like, yeah, I guess like upstrokes or different phrasing kind of stuff.
Because you definitely need a pick guard on your top.
Yeah. When I rock out, I'm not the cleanest guitar player in the world. You know what I mean? I'm kind of a sloppy player, so it rips up.
I saw that and I was like, he's. How old is that guitar?
I've owned it maybe a year. I bought it right before that music video we did for Hurt You. That's the guitar I'm playing in that, and that was like brand new back then, so it's like not scraped up at all. And like over the past year, it's gotten worn in. Yeah.
That's great. Are you a digital or analog guy?
As far as
I wanted to ask you, your cabinet, is that a
rotary? It's a real B2 and a Leslie.
Oh, Leslie, yeah. Dude, I was going to ask. I was like, no way.
Yeah, I tore the real thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that and I was like, it's got the vents. I was like, They went way out to make it vintage. And
no! I don't believe in the fake like piano shell thing. I think it looks hokey. Like, just play the real thing or just show people what you're playing. You know what I mean?
Where does that go on the bus?
It lives on a truck. Like a semi,
really?
Yeah, the semi follows the two buses and.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you were just strictly doing bus, you couldn't.
I mean, we did before we had the truck. We only got the truck recently. We toured 2 buses and 2 giant trailers, like one behind each bus. Like,
really?
Yeah, and they were loaded up, like full.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, that's the real deal. But if you're playing guitar, what's your go-to amp?
I am a really. I used to be a real big shill for Princeton reverbs. I love Princeton reverb amps, like the silver faces, the black faces.
Yeah.
I've got like one of those newer silver face Princeton reissues that I have in the studio. But I recently built a clone of an old brown face deluxe. And that is like probably my favorite amp right now. Yeah.
So you're like a pedal guy?
Yeah, I mean, I have over the years designed guitar pedals, built guitars for a living. Like I've done a lot of different jobs in music over the years.
That's cool.
Thanks, man.
So much more I want to ask about that. It's crazy. I guess the lead guitar player, does he play a what is it?
I think it's a wobbler. I think it's a top hat. Like the amp is a top hat.
Okay, there was a lot of like L's on the. I don't know on his thing, but it looked like he was playing is it Brent or Brent Mason?
Oh yeah, he has one of those ego compressors, the wobbler.
Yeah. Okay, I was like, okay, I have one of them. Why don't I sound like that?
He knows how to dial compression in just right, man.
He's really good. He does like really cool. Oh yeah, real good banjo rolls and everything.
Yeah,
and they're tasty.
Yeah, dude.
They're never out of place.
I've never played with another guitar player quite like him. He is this weird amalgamation. I call him like the Keith Richards of Dallas. Because like no one can play quite like him. He has such a reputation. The dude used to play for like Jack Ingram back in the day.
Really?
Like 1100 Springs, if you know about that band.
Nah.
They're a great like DFW local just honky talking group.
Really?
Yeah.
I was saying, from my perspective, I was like, that's the Mick Mars of country.
Yeah, dude, totally. Right by. Absolutely.
That's and that's no offense to him.
No, not at all.
Whoa.
No, I'm sure he'd take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I was like, and I was kind of like, come on, man, let me give you the horns. Let you know you're killing it. You know, they're dancing.
Oh yeah,
they're girls. They're them the picks. But hey, here's your bro.
Yeah, that dude keeps it smooth 24/7.
Yeah,
man.
It was great. And oh God. Like, what else are we talking about? So now that COVID's done, full speed.
I mean, we're scaling up again. We're playing more small arenas, stuff like that, which before COVID we weren't really doing a lot of.
Yeah.
So it still seems like we're growing. It was a little hiccup in the trajectory, but it seems like everything's doing pretty good still.
Yeah. That's good.
It was a struggle earlier this year with certain markets, just like, because certain state COVID regulations wouldn't allow certain size concerts still for a while, so we had to like pick and choose where we were touring. But
yeah. So so you guys are independent.
Yeah.
No record label.
No.
What are the cons of that, and also the positives of being? Is there like a dichotomy of?
I mean, I can't really fully speak on it because I'm not really involved in the business end so much, but like, I know, major market radio play is pretty hard to come by.
Yeah.
But the pros is, like Cody puts on these shows themselves with the production company, and like, so at the end of the day, like when we make the records and we do the shows, there's no one else that he has to pay any money to. They don't get 10% just for existing. Like he gets everything he makes,
Yeah.
And with the records too,
Yeah.
And he's always been pretty gracious about, cutting the band and the crew in on some of that as well. So.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. So pretty much all around good guy.
Yeah, man. He's a great dude.
So what would you say to people that they don't know they like country yet? Somebody that likes Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, and all.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
I mean, I didn't listen to country music before I was probably 17, 18 years old. Didn't grow up in a household with country music. I discovered it later in life, and I like it a lot now. It took a while. I first started doing it as a gig, and I was like, I'll just get paid doing it because that's what's paying, living in Texas. But, man, like, there is, for as much as there is heavy music, there is also, like, heavy songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I've found heavier songs in country than I've ever found listening to metal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally know what you mean. Because like when I started doing like the reaction videos, when they talk about like, soldiers not coming home, and they're talking about, and it's just like
just dark content, man.
Yeah.
Like murder ballads.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like that's a fucking thing, dude.
Yeah. Who's your favorite metal band? Or
golly,
I know that's not hard.
I guess it depends on the style of metal. I used to play in a prog metal band back in college, and like we used to listen to a lot of like Between the Buried and Me and Dream Theater, very technical, progressive stuff like that. But at the same time, like I'm also a huge fan of like I recorded with a metal band out of Nashville called Howling Giant, and they're a stoner metal group, and so like listen to a lot of like The Sword, Red Fang, just like droney, jammy, fucking like heavier rock metal kind of shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Almost like throwback to like Sabbath-y shit. Yeah.
That's cool. And favorite country?
Favorite country like songwriter group? Like
I'm like,
what era?
You're so tuned in the industry. I didn't even think about that. Just like if you were gonna put a song on now, what would you put on?
Country or otherwise, because like
so
I almost answer with the top 40 song because I'm a fucking sucker for pop music too. I love pop music.
Dude. Yeah, when I was growing up, I had a belt. It was my Michael Jackson belt.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like I love Michael Jackson, man. I don't know. Let me look at what I've been playing on my phone recently.
It's fun. It's easy. You know the words after like
it
a minute
good,
and a half.
Man.
Ain't no shame in the game.
There's a cool indie artist, Madison Cunningham. I've been listening to a lot recently. She seems like she's kind of popping off lately. Incubus's bass player, Ben Kenny, has a great solo record.
Really?
From back in like 2010
I was
called
just
Burn
saying,
the Tapes that I've been listening to again recently.
Really?
I love that record.
I almost put on my Twitter, pardon me, where is Incubus?
Oh, yeah, you just played in Dallas recently.
Really?
Like, yeah, the show got rained out halfway through. I had a bunch of friends go.
It's funny because I know a lot of these pictures.
Matt Nathanson. That's like the indie acoustic pop from like mid 2000s.
I don't know that.
A great LA artist,
by
Mike
Deftones.
Viola, Rhett Madison, all these LA artists, like these indie pop, indie rock guys that are doing shit super underground. Like they have like a dedicated fan base, even though it's small. But like it is some of the coolest, weirdest music I've heard lately.
Really?
I love it.
I love cool, weird. How about like? Do you know like Reed Southall band?
Yeah, I know those guys. Yeah.
It's insane they're that good, that young.
Yeah,
And like
I forget that he's like, I think when I met him, he was still like 19, 20 years old. Yeah.
It's funny is they started a TikTok, and it was like, this is the only Reed Southall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, they're like young men.
Yeah. They're definitely like on the
it
younger
was
side.
weird because I was like, man, I just really. And it turns out I was like, oh, they only follow 15 people, and they follow me. I was like, there's a bunch of like really new like. It's crazy. There's so.
Yeah.
Well, you're from Texas, right?
Yeah. I born and raised in Dallas. Yeah.
What why is Texas such a plethora of talent?
Man, it's hard to say exactly. I know, like, partially UNT, the college, one of the state colleges up there, has a great music school. Like, so,
Okay.
it's like number one or number two jazz school in the nation. So,
Oh,
like,
really?
A lot of great musicians already go there for that if they're not
Really?
from there
Is that like
originally.
where like Mike McClure and all?
I don't know if he went there. I mean, I'm familiar with Mike. I don't know.
I just know the what you're talking about.
Yeah, but there's a huge gospel community out in Dallas, as far as like church musicians and whatnot, both like in the praise and worship and in the like the black church or whatever you want to call it, in the gospel community. And like it is such a cutthroat environment at times, depending on the church, and there's so many local churches and everyone's got their own band, So like it's like you growing up in those kind of churches, it's like, man, you get the opportunity, you want to learn how to play drums, they'll let you play drums on a service, and then like you just got to keep your chops up, because if you don't cut it, then there's three guys behind you wanting their fucking shot.
So it's like
that kind of shit, but
it's like a Sabbath battle of the bands.
Yeah, in a way, but like everyone,
Yeah.
but the community is so, even though it is like cutthroat about like who gets to play the gig, it's so connected, and everyone is so like great about like helping everyone learn and become better musicians, so that the level of musicianship really just keeps escalating. And then I was talking to a friend a couple years ago about this, how a lot of guys in Dallas, when they want to go professional and they don't want to do the country music scene, because that's a lot of what's around there.
Yeah.
That and I guess neo soul in Dallas. But if you want to like go do the pop thing, top 40s thing, a lot of guys will move to LA. And I had a buddy who, A+ vocalist, phenomenal, like worked in like every cover band in town, and he was a trumpet player as well. And he was like, he admittedly was like, yeah, I'm like a B- trumpet player. He went to LA. He was getting gigs on tours as a trumpet player way easier than he could as a vocalist.
Really?
Because there's not as much work out there, it was pushing everyone to be that much better just to get ahead.
Yeah.
So, because of the lack of opportunity out there on like the world tour scale or the international tour scale,
But yeah, like even like the whole reason we're sitting together is the outreach that Texas music and musicians.
Yeah.
All the way from the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, yeah. The Texas scene is so weird, because like there are artists that like successful, like retired now, that have spent their entire lives only ever touring in Texas. And you can make an entire living, a good living, and never leave the state, because there's so many markets to play, because it's such a large state.
Yeah.
And because the I guess the state pride is also such like an integral part of Texas country.
Yeah.
That, it becomes it's its own tour circle, essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like some of the bigger artists will like obviously go out, and to the point where they've influenced so many people that they're like, we're touring up here in Baltimore, or like I work with some bands now that are from the Pacific Northwest. There's a whole scene of country music around like Bend, Oregon, like Portland, like Seattle, that is this total, not like a copycat of Texas country. It's its own thing, but it is very much rooted in the same style of music. and all these bands are getting so much more airplay from fans in Texas than they are from their own home state, that they're like touring in Texas all the time.
Okay, yeah.
Like they're flying down and they're like spending weeks and weeks down there.
It's almost kind of like the new Music City if
Yeah.
you like music.
Yeah. Fort Worth is definitely becoming its own little like neo Nashville in a sense.
Yeah.
Now that Austin's kind of become its own version of LA, you know?
That's great. You have to go back.
Oh, no, I was just checking on time. I've got a couple more minutes.
No, that was great.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about, or?
Anything you? It could just,
Oh.
It'd just be you.
Oh no! I mean, no, man. Ask me something. I don't know. I could ramble on about.
I can ramble too.
Like, what have you been listening to recently?
What I've been listening to recently, Uncle Lucius. Keep the wolves away.
Yeah, man.
They're Reed Southall band, Dax Perrier.
That's something I'm not familiar with.
He's from Oklahoma, I think. I don't know. Man, there's so many new guys I've listened to. Oh my god. Shane Smith and the Saints.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Love those guys. I used to play the Christmas shows with them all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like about once a year, I'd like hop in and play with them for a little bit.
Are you going to be at Mile Zero Fest this year?
I don't think I am, but I'm
gonna be
gonna
the only
doing,
person I know.
Born and Raised next month. If you're going down to Tulsa for that,
Where's that?
like
Oklahoma?
outside of Tulsa.
With Zach Bryan?
Yeah, Zach Bryan's on there. We're on there with Cody. I think I'm playing also with like Jamie Lynn Wilson and a couple other like great songwriters out there. They have
Is there still tickets?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked. But it is like a Texas Red Dirt songwriter ordeal. Last year was the first one they ever did, and it was one of the best run festivals I've ever been a part of.
Really? Zach Bryan's fiddle player hit me up, and I was like, "Yeah, dude." And next thing you know, they're like to the moon.
Oh yeah, dude, they've been skyrocketing.
Yeah, he's probably like, I never said that. I never said hit me up. I don't know. But yeah, like, how about, do you know Austin Meade?
Yeah, I know Austin.
Austin Meade. If Hunter S. Thompson was still alive, he would listen to Austin Meade.
Yeah?
Like psychedelic darkness.
Yeah, that is a good way of describing his music.
It's
Psychedelic
so
darkness.
different.
Yeah.
And I love it. And people are like,
because like it's definitely like from where he used to be as a writer, it's definitely gotten heavier and rockier and like just more in your face.
Yeah.
You know?
And if I do one of his songs, he tells me what it's about.
Yeah.
He's like, just, this, I just want to see if it would stick. Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Because I thought, honestly, I never expected anybody with a blue check mark to ever hit me up.
Oh, for real?
And next thing you know, like, Austin Meade's like, oh, yeah. I love the darkness. That's a great thing. And I'm like,
oh, like the band The Darkness?
Well, the darkness, but Austin Meade was like, I love the darkness. I like that likeness. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta watch what I say. I'm like, God forbid. Because I didn't, somebody said Duquesne by Nod.
Okay, yeah.
I did not know that was Cody Jinks.
Right.
And I was like, okay, man, this is your band. And you can go through and I said,
right.
You need to get an IR impulse because this sounds like a Boss DS1 direct. Your distortion, terrible. and I'm like going through and I'm like,
oh, man.
And then they're like, no, that's the guy that did
that's Cody. Yeah,
like,
that's Cody's metal group. Like,
I was like, I can't delete it. Because it was honest.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, like, yeah.
But I just saw it and I'm like...
The tones on that record are very interesting. So, funny enough, like...
don't tell me you did.
No, I'm all the background harmonies on that record.
Didn't say anything bad about them.
But Jake, our other lead player, the reason he has the gig with us is he was the guy that was hired in to do all the guitars for the Cane by Nod record.
Really?
And we liked him so much, we asked him to come and join the country band. And so he's the band leader for Cane by Nod now, and they're actually doing their first performance in Dallas next week, I think it is.
I need to do a redemption video.
No. I mean, like, you're allowed to have your opinion about
No,
tones.
I meant, well, man, an IR response would have been great. A simulated cab. Because
Hey, man. Well,
I've done it. I've done it.
I want to say that a lot of that guitar tone was like, what was it 59 Les Paul through like a JCM 900, like with a bunch of pedals in the chain too.
Really?
But yeah.
It was.
But I want to
like,
say the core tone of that was like pretty like golden rock. Like
I'm trying to think of the song. I can't even think of the song. I thought it was the kid that commented, and
right.
and then I got a bunch of like messages that are like, "No, dum dum, that's the guy you just really liked his song," and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because I didn't because I was like, yo, you guys, your singer's fantastic. You need to put money in your production, your engineering.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was the
Give
same.
me your name.
It was the
I'll
same
send it to-
engineer that did our last record, Mercy. Like we cut both the records at the same time. Like we had two different studios next door to each other, and we were bouncing back and forth between the rooms, like for like a month.
He's like, hey, you like?
Nah, man.
It's just funny.
No, it's definitely. It was. I think it was different than
It was like
the intention was, because like Cody, I think wanted to make a thrash record.
Oh, really?
From what I understand. And like personally, I really like the K99 record, like overall, just because I think it reminds me of like 90s STP, you know, like the heroin rock era, you know, like the really just droney, just like mumbly shit. Like I love
Singing
that.
through
But
pickups.
it has a bit of like aggression at times, but like it's still, I think, a little more melodic and musical than say like, you know, the 80s Metallica shit before they figured out that you could turn up
angelic
the you know
attitude.
what I mean? Like
yeah. Like we're here to gently ruin everything, but we'll fix it before we leave.
Yeah. No, but funny enough, that song Middle Finger, all the gang vocals on that are all of us in Cody's band, in the country band, like just shouting and doing gang vocals.
But I have to ask, his guitar, are those three P90s?
Oh, Chris's? Yeah,
Yeah.
3 P90s.
Oh, that's what that tone was. I said they're all P90s.
Yeah, I think they're a little overwhelmed too. Yeah, they're fucking. That's a hot guitar, dude.
Oh yeah, so hot. Because I saw him adjusting, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're definitely P90. But he doesn't have any buzz or anything. Very.
Oh,
clean.
I mean, they're not super hummy. I think he keeps it under control, just like how he runs his pedals and the amp and whatnot. Before that guitar, he had another like brown tail. It was just two P90s.
Oh, really?
So when he got this new one, he had that one in the middle. It's like just to get some kind of stratty things if he needed it, you know.
What's Cody play? I couldn't.
That guitar, he has this custom Fender. It's like a blacked out telly kind of thing that he plays a lot. And there's this other guitar he's been playing recently. A friend made him 9-point guitars, I think he calls himself. It's the same guy who makes that blue telly that Jake plays.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
That's that's. Oh, you and doing an outro?
Yeah, I guess. Follow me on socials, Drew Harakal, at Woollybeard, WOOLYBEARD. I produce records, I record. Hit me up if you want keys on your records. I do remote recording. I do distance recording. You want to come to the studio, stay for a week, record at my place, you can. Hit me up for that if you want it on the socials. I'm trying to think what else. I'm producing a record right now for this guy, Tim Lightyear. It's fucking amazing. You should listen to that once it comes out, whenever it comes out. I think we're putting out an acoustic EP next month, and then this record come out early next year. So look out for that. It's really good. If you like Beatles, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But,
That's cool.
I mean, I know it's not metal or country, but
It's music.
yeah, it's good music.
Hey,
Actually, that dude used to play lead for Shane Smith back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for like years and years and years. So like he's kind of tied into that whole circle too, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. Hell yeah.
He's,
I don't never know. These